My friend, there comes a time in life when you no longer chase, no longer beg, no longer strive. That time is now, because the overflow is not something you work for, it is something you allow. The world has told you that you must labor, sacrifice, hustle to receive your good, but the truth is deeper, quieter, and infinitely more powerful. Your outer life is merely the outpictured image of what you've assumed within. The delays, the droughts, the detours, they did not come to stay. They came to ask you one question: will you persist in the unseen, even when the seen seems silent? Overflow is coming. But it doesn't come to the anxious. It doesn't rush in to please the desperate. It comes to the one who has prepared a place for it in their consciousness. A room furnished with faith, decorated with expectancy, and lit by the calm knowing. It is done. You are not small. You are not overlooked. The overflow isn't for someone out there. It is for the one who dares to feel the reality of it now. Imagine it. Not someday, but now. Not later, but here. Not with clenched fists, but with open hands. There is no power greater than belief in the unseen. For when you believe that the unseen is real, the world must obey. The money you thought was far, it is now being drawn to your name. The opportunities you felt forgotten by, they are circling back to your energy. The love, the healing, the freedom, the peace, they are already yours. You are the doorway. When you unlock the inner realm with certainty, the outer realm floods in with blessings. You do not make the overflow happen. You make room for it. Your job is not to question when or how. It is to assume that it is already done. Silence the noise of the senses. Close your eyes and feel the fulfillment. It is not imagination, it is creation. The moment you feel it real, it becomes your future. So, I ask you now, are you ready? Because overflow is coming to your life, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, not by accident, not by luck, but by law. And the law says, as you believe, so shall it be done unto you. Get ready. Your season has arrived. Your abundance is not pending, it is present. Your overflow is not coming, it is here. All you must do now is receive it. What you see right now, the circumstances of your life, the money in your account, the people around you, the challenges or comforts you're facing, is not the truth. It is not who you are. It is not what is ultimately destined for you. Rather, it is the echo, a delayed reflection, a mirror showing you the remnants of what you used to believe. The reality you walk through today was shaped by the silent assumptions you held yesterday, last week, last year. Your life is not a result of random forces. It is not determined by fate, luck, or outer conditions. It is shaped moment by what you accept to be true in your inner world. The invisible assumptions you hold about yourself and the world, they are the architects of your experience. And because assumptions take time to crystallize into form, the world you see now is not reacting to your current thoughts, but to what you once felt to be true. This is why many people feel stuck. They change their words, but not their beliefs. They speak affirmations with doubt in their hearts. They visualize abundance while expecting rejection. They are hoping for overflow while living from lack. And then they say, see, nothing is changing. But the truth is, change happens the moment you shift the assumption, not the moment the outer world shows it. The world is a faithful servant. It simply echoes what you embody. If you assumed lack, it gave you more lack. If you assumed that love always leaves, it arranged scenes to prove you right. If you assumed you must struggle to be worthy, it became your constant taskmaster. The world is not cruel, it is obedient. It waits patiently for you to change your mind about yourself. This is the secret. The present moment is always the crossroads. You can keep reacting to what you see and repeat the cycle, or you can step into the deeper truth that you hold the power to shift everything, not by force, not by effort, but by a silent inner decision to believe differently. Your overflow does not lie in the distant future. It lies in a new assumption, planted in faith. It lies in the quiet inner knowing that says, I no longer identify with lack. I no longer identify with fear. I am aligned with abundance, with love, with peace. It is already mine. When you accept this, not as a concept but as a feeling, your outer world begins to change. Subtly at first, then suddenly. You don't need to figure out the how. You only need to assume the state. Assume it fully. Live from it inwardly and watch the outer begin to echo your new truth. This is how the overflow comes. Not through striving, but through stillness. Not by chasing results, but by assuming identity. So if what you see today doesn't reflect the life you want, don't panic, don't despair. Just remind yourself, this is the echo. I'm not bound by it. I'm free to choose a new assumption. And because I do, my overflow is not only possible, it is inevitable. Imagination is not just fantasy. It is the first act of creation. Every structure, every invention, every breakthrough in this world began as a thought, a vision, a picture in the unseen. Imagination is the seed, planted not in the ground, but in consciousness. And when this seed is nurtured with belief, it must grow. It must manifest. This is not philosophy, it is law. You are not merely a thinker or a doer, you are a creator. And your most powerful tool is the ability to imagine. The moment you dare to close your eyes and see yourself in a new state, wealthy, loved, peaceful, healed, you have stepped into the divine workshop where all things are formed. The world outside may contradict it. Your senses may scream that it's not real. But if you persist in imagination, it becomes more than an image. It becomes your new identity. This is the secret few understand. If you can imagine something clearly and feel it as true, it already exists in a dimension unseen to your natural eyes. You don't have to beg for it, you don't have to chase it, and you certainly don't have to wait years for it to arrive. The moment you accept it in consciousness, it begins its journey to you. Life responds not to your wishes, but to your inner conviction. Imagination is how you rise above circumstances. When the bank account looks empty, you close your eyes and feel the weight of abundance. When the world says you're alone, you imagine the warmth of love surrounding you. When your body feels weak, you picture it strong, vibrant, and whole. This is not pretending, it is not delusion, it is creation. In its purest form. Your current life is the harvest of past imaginal acts, some conscious, some unconscious. You may have imagined lack, conflict, or failure and accepted those visions without question. And now you may find yourself surrounded by those very things. But the same power that brought unwanted things into your life can bring beauty, wealth, and peace. The only question is, what are you willing to imagine now? You must become bold in vision. Stop limiting your imagination to what seems realistic. Reality bends to the one who dares to feel the unseen as real. Imagine yourself in your dream home, walking freely, living richly, see the world blessing you. Feel the overflow, smell it, hear it, touch it in your mind. And most importantly, assume it is already done. Your imagination is the realm where nothing is impossible. It doesn't care about the odds or logic or statistics. It only asks, can you feel it real? And if you can, it is yours. Do not misuse this power by imagining worst-case scenarios, by replaying fear, by mentally living in cycles of worry. Those too will manifest. Instead, train yourself to dwell in the world you want before it appears. Speak from that world. Think from that world. React as if you already live in it. Imagination is the seed of overflow, and just as a seed once planted silently pushes through the soil and breaks into form, so too does your vision bloom when you water it with unwavering belief. Whatever you dare to imagine and accept as true is already yours. Overflow does not respond to frantic energy. It does not show up when you are desperate, anxious, or chasing. It comes when you are still, when your inner world has become a place of quiet expectation, not because you're doing nothing, but because you're doing everything that matters in the unseen. True abundance flows toward peace, not panic. The more calmly you expect it, the faster it appears. There is a difference between wanting something and knowing it is already yours. Wanting comes with tension, knowing comes with stillness. When you are truly in the state of belief, you are not rushing, striving, or overthinking. You are settled, rooted, and sure. You no longer need to check for signs because you have become the sign. You walk differently, you speak differently, not because of what you see, but because of what you know. This is the paradox of spiritual law. The more urgently you try to make something happen, the more you delay it. Why? Because urgency stems from fear, and fear is a signal to the universe that you don't yet believe. You cannot manifest what you fearfully doubt. You manifest what you faithfully embody. Stillness is not laziness. It is power under control. It is alignment with a higher order that does not waver, even when appearances suggest lack. Chaos blocks, it scrambles the signal. When you are emotionally chaotic, obsessing, worrying, doubting, you are sending mixed messages. One moment you declare, "It is mine." The next you check your phone, your bank account, your inbox, looking for evidence. But this very looking reveals that you do not yet believe. The one who is still doesn't need to search because they have already found it within. Faith invites. It's an invisible magnet. It quietly draws all things toward it without strain. Faith doesn't beg or plead. It doesn't push against time or worry about delay. It knows that the unseen is more real than the seen, and that the seen will soon conform. Faith is the highest form of spiritual rest. It allows you to remain grounded even in uncertainty, because your certainty is no longer dependent on the world. This stillness is not passive, it's creative. It is the space where ideas are born, where divine timing aligns, where the soul hears instructions. It is the silence between the notes that makes the music. When your mind is still, your imagination becomes clearer. You begin to feel the reality of what you have asked for. You no longer visualize from need, but from fulfillment. To live in overflow, you must become still within. You must learn to withdraw your attention from the noise of the world and anchor it in the inner feeling of, "It is done." Do not be fooled by delay or lack of evidence. Remain still and the evidence will appear. Remain still and the overflow will rush in. Impressed down, shaken together and running over. Let the world chase, let others strive. You remain still. You remain sure. You remain aligned. For in your stillness, the universe moves. In your calm, the blessing flows. And in your unwavering faith, abundance finds you. Easily, effortlessly, and right on time. You are not waiting on overflow. It has always been ready, already prepared, already complete in the invisible realm. It is not delayed, it is not lost, and it is certainly not withheld from you. The truth is, overflow is waiting on you, waiting for your agreement, waiting for your inner permission, waiting for you to assume the feeling of already having it, completely, deeply, and without question. You see, life is not responding to your words alone. It is responding to your inner state. And the moment you fully embody the state of abundance, something extraordinary happens. Life begins to reorganize. People shift. Opportunities arise. Events rearrange themselves, not randomly but by design. Your outer world begins to match your inner conviction. But most people live in a false waiting room. They say, I'm waiting for the right time. I'm waiting for the right job. I'm waiting for the universe to bless me. Yet they don't realize that the blessing is already here. It's just invisible to the natural eye. It's waiting for them to feel it real. Until you shift your inner world, the outer world has nothing to respond to. It simply reflects the vibration you carry. This is not about positive thinking, it's about assumption. There is a profound difference between hoping for something and assuming it as already yours. Hope looks to the future with uncertainty. Assumption lives in the present with inner certainty. When you assume a state, you no longer wonder if it will happen. You know that it is happening now, even if your senses haven't caught up yet. The mind often wants to wait for proof. It wants to see something before it believes. But that is not how creation works. You must first believe, deeply, emotionally, fully, and then the outer world conforms. It may seem backward, but it is the ancient law. The outer follows the inner. And so if you are still waiting, it is only because you have not yet shifted your dominant feeling. Overflow is not summoned by force, it is received by alignment. You must become the person who has already received it in consciousness. You must carry yourself differently, speak differently, think differently, not from a place of pretending, but from a place of knowing. When you begin to feel and live as though your abundance is already here, the world bends to meet you in that state. Do not ask, when will it come? Instead, ask, am I truly living in the feeling of already having it? If not, that is the only thing you must do. You don't need to chase, strive, or wait for the perfect sign. Just assume the end. Assume the joy. Assume the freedom. Assume the overflow. And do it now, not later, not someday. For the moment you do, things begin to move, doors begin to open. Not because life suddenly decided to be kind, but because you finally became available to receive what was always yours. So remember, you are not waiting on overflow. Overflow is waiting on you. Waiting on your clarity, waiting on your boldness, waiting on your decision to live as though it's already done. Because when you do, it is done. There is a quiet truth that frees the soul once it is understood. Everything you are seeking, everything you long to see in your outer world already exists within you. The world outside is not the source, it is the reflection. It cannot give you what you have not already given yourself in consciousness. And so when you search for signs, for evidence, for proof that things are changing before you choose to believe, you invert the order of creation. You delay what is already yours. This is why you must stop looking to the world. Stop searching for clues that your desire is on its way. Stop scanning for confirmation in people's words, in bank accounts, in job offers, in phone calls, or in timelines. Because all signs follow belief. They never precede it. The external world is not a leader. It is a mirror. It simply reflects back what you carry within. If you do not believe in your abundance, the world cannot show it to you. If you do not believe you are loved, the world cannot reflect love back to you. And yet, the moment you assume the feeling of already having what you desire, the mirror shifts, the image changes. Life reorganizes to align with your inner state. Not because the world is magical, but because you are. So many remain stuck because they are waiting to see before they believe. They say, I'll believe I'm wealthy when the money comes. I'll believe I'm loved when the person shows up. I'll believe I'm healed when the pain is gone. But this is not creation, this is reaction. This is faith in appearances, not in truth. True transformation happens the moment you withdraw your attention from what is and fix your focus on what is desired as though it already is. Looking within is not about escaping reality, it is about creating it. The inner world is where the blueprint of your life is drawn. The imagination, the emotion, the assumption, this is the canvas on which your future is painted. When you close your eyes and live from the state of your wish fulfilled, you tap into the real power. You become the cause. You stop reacting and start initiating. That is the secret. The world is loud, distracting, filled with noise and opinion. It tells you what's possible, what's likely, what's realistic. But none of that matters when you've turned inward. In the silence of your inner sanctuary, you become untouchable. You no longer need the world to agree with your vision. You only need to agree with it yourself. That agreement is what draws the unseen into form. When you feel uncertain, when doubt creeps in, don't run to the world for reassurance. Run inward. Re-enter the state. Reimagine the scene. Reclaim the feeling. Because everything you seek is born from that inner conviction. You are not here to chase signs. You are here to be the sign, to carry such strong belief within you that the world has no choice but to yield. So stop looking outside for what only lives within. The moment you stop searching for confirmation and start embodying belief, the signs will come rushing in, not because you chased them, but because they had no choice. All signs follow belief, and belief begins in you. There is a law that governs all manifestation, and it does not fail. It is precise, impartial, and constant. This law states, what you assume to be true, persistently and emotionally you will live. You do not need to strive, struggle, or exhaust yourself to receive what you desire. You do not earn overflow through effort. You receive it through conviction, through the unwavering inner acceptance that what you have imagined is already yours. The world would have you believe otherwise. It teaches you that you must hustle harder, sacrifice more, and prove your worth to be worthy of abundance. But this is a distortion of truth. Your life does not unfold based on the intensity of your outer action, but by the power of your inner agreement. What you accept inwardly as real, what you rehearse in the quiet chambers of your mind, becomes the script that the outer world performs. Overflow is not a reward, it is a reflection. It comes not to the anxious worker, but to the one who lives from the state of already having received, the one who no longer questions if it's possible or when it will come, but who walks as though it is already done. That state of inner certainty is the soil from which harvests grow. You are always assuming something. Every day, consciously or unconsciously, you are assuming certain truths about yourself. I'm not good enough, it's hard to make money, love never lasts, I always get overlooked, and as subtle as those assumptions may be, they shape the structure of your life. You are not punished for them, you are simply living them. That's the power of the law. But the beauty of this truth is that you can change your assumptions right now. You can begin to assume that life favors you, that money flows to you, that love surrounds you, that doors open without force. And if you persist in that assumption, not just in words, but in feeling, then your world must transform to reflect it. Not maybe, not if you're lucky, but certainly. Because the law is certain. There is no deception in the law. It gives back exactly what you plant. If you imagine a scene of overflow, rich in emotion, filled with joy, and you return to it often with conviction, the world around you will shift to make it real. It is not up to chance. It is not dependent on timing or status or connections. The law doesn't care who you are in the world. It only reflects who you are in consciousness. So the real work is inner, not outer noise, but inner clarity, not frantic effort, but quiet confidence. You do not need to prove your worth. You only need to assume it. Stand firm in your vision. Live from the end. Let your imagination construct the life you desire, and let your assumption anchor it as truth. The law cannot fail. It does not waver. What you consistently assume about your health, your wealth, your relationships, your destiny is what you will live. Not because the world decided to favor you, but because you finally decided to favor yourself. The inner scene creates the outer harvest. So plant deliberately, water it with belief, and prepare, because the overflow is already on its way. Everything you desire, abundance, peace, love, fulfillment, is not something to chase, but something to assume. Overflow is not waiting in a distant future, it is waiting in your present belief. The world is not holding you back, your old assumptions are. But the moment you shift within, the entire structure of your life begins to respond. Your imagination is the seed, stillness is the soil, and conviction is the water that makes it grow. When you stop searching the world for signs and start embodying the end result, overflow is no longer a hope, it becomes your natural state. Remember, what you assume, you live. The law is certain, so choose your assumption carefully and live in the certainty that your overflow has already begun. Thank you, message. Thank you for joining me on this powerful journey inward. May you walk with conviction, imagine boldly, remain still in faith, and live in the overflow that was always yours. Stay aligned, stay aware, and remember, your inner world creates it all. There comes a moment when you no longer ask, when will it happen, but instead declare, it has already happened. That is the shift. And once you step into it, everything will change. You see, the overflow you desire, the financial freedom, the loving relationship, the unshakable peace, is not coming to you. It is already here. It has always been here. But it is only revealed when you begin to see differently. You have been trained to think that life responds to effort, to time, to hustle. But life responds to states of consciousness. And the state you dwell in, the inner story you rehearse, is the blueprint of your future. This is the truth most never understand. You do not receive what you want. You receive who you are being. So let me ask you, who are you being right now? Are you being the one who lacks, who waits, who doubts? Or are you being the one who already has, already is, already knows? The overflow is not a reward for your struggle. It is the natural outcome of alignment. When you align your inner world with the end you desire, the outer world must echo it. It has no choice. This shift is not outside of you. It begins in your imagination. There you feel what it would be like if your desire were already fulfilled. You walk in that feeling. You breathe in that feeling. You live in that feeling. And as you persist, the old world falls away. Not because you fought it, but because you no longer matched it. The world changes when you change states, not when you plead, not when you strive, but when you assume the overflow as a fact before the senses confirm it. To shift is to say, I remember who I am. To shift is to say, I am the one who creates. To shift is to realize that the source lives in you, moves through you, speaks as you. And from that state, you prepare. You don't beg. You don't chase. You prepare. Prepare your mind, prepare your space, prepare your spirit, not in desperation, but in certainty. Just as a pregnant mother prepares the nursery not hoping but knowing the child is coming, so too must you prepare for overflow. The shift is simple, but you must make it real. You must feel it real. You must dare to believe before there is proof, because once you do, everything changes. The flow becomes unstoppable. The doors you once knocked on swing open. The people you once chased now seek you. The life you once only imagined becomes the life you wake up in. You have shifted. And now, prepare for overflow. This idea may seem strange at first because we've been conditioned to believe that we must chase, strive, and prove ourselves worthy of abundance. But the truth is this: everything you seek, the wealth, the love, the peace, the success, already exists. It is not somewhere out there, locked away in the future. It is here, now, in a dimension of consciousness that you must enter, not achieve. There is no need to earn what is already yours by right of awareness. You don't have to become more, do more, or have more effort before the overflow arrives. It is not about time. It is not about deserving. It is about alignment. And alignment is not an action, it is a state. You see, this world responds not to your desires, but to your assumptions. The secret is not in trying harder, but in dwelling deeper. Deeper in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Deeper in the belief that what you long for is not only possible, but already here, already yours, already done. Most people wait to see evidence before they believe. But that is the backward path. That is the road of delay. The truth is, you must believe and then you will see. Not because belief magically creates something new, but because belief shifts your awareness to the version of reality where it is already true. Think of reality like a radio dial. All frequencies already exist: music, news, silence, noise. They are all broadcasting now, but you only hear what you tune into. The same is true of overflow. It exists now. It has always existed. You've simply been tuned to a different station. One of lack, of waiting, of someday. But the moment you shift your state, not through force, but through assumption, everything begins to move. Not because the world changes, but because your position within it changes. You don't climb the mountain of success. You relocate within consciousness. You ascend inwardly. You close your eyes and feel what it would be like if it were already true. You imagine how it would feel to live in the overflow, to no longer hope, but to know, to no longer strive, but to receive. And the moment you do this, you send a new signal to life. You become magnetic, not because you're doing more, but because you are being differently. You become one with the thing you once pursued. And when there is no more distance between you and it, when you feel it, live it, breathe it, it appears. The overflow was never running from you. It was never hiding. It was always waiting for you to rise into the version of yourself who could hold it, not by effort, but by embodiment. Not by pleading, but by believing. So stop waiting. Stop rehearsing lack. Stop assuming that tomorrow holds what you can claim today. The door is already open. The banquet is already set. The invitation has already been sent. All that remains is for you to step in. The overflow is not late. It is not delayed. The shift begins with assumption, not action. This is a truth that unravels the illusion of struggle. So many spend their lives chasing, striving, exhausting themselves in pursuit of a better life. They believe that more effort will unlock the doors of abundance. But effort alone, without alignment, is motion without meaning. It is noise without sound. Real change begins not in what you do, but in what you believe to be true. Assumption is the seed of all creation. It is the silent power behind every result. When you assume something with conviction, truly accept it as your internal reality, the outer world is compelled to mirror it. You do not need to fight for overflow. You do not need to beg the universe, chase opportunities, or push harder. The truth is simpler, quieter, more powerful. You need only assume the state where overflow is already yours. Assumption is not wishful thinking. It is not positive thinking dressed in hopeful disguise. Assumption is the deep inner knowing that what you desire is already yours in the unseen. It is a quiet confidence that doesn't seek proof, because it is the proof. You are not here to convince the world, you are here to convince yourself. And when that inner shift happens, when the assumption becomes so real to you that it becomes your natural state of being, the outer world must conform. It has no choice. You might ask, but shouldn't I be doing something? Shouldn't I take steps toward my goal? And the answer is yes, but only after the inner shift. Action without the foundation of assumption is often frantic, disconnected, and ineffective. But when your actions rise from a place of inner knowing, they are effortless, aligned, and divinely timed. This is the reason many fail to see results despite hard work. They take action while still doubting, still fearing, still assuming lack. And so their actions are poisoned with resistance. The outer world reflects not their actions, but the energy behind those actions. Assumption rewrites your identity. When you assume abundance, you begin to walk differently, speak differently, expect differently. And life responds. People treat you according to how you see yourself. Opportunities appear to match your internal vision. This is the unseen law that governs all things. Reality flows from the invisible to the visible, from the assumed to the actual, from the inner to the outer. You must be bold enough to live from the unseen, bold enough to feel wealthy before you have the money, bold enough to feel loved before anyone calls, bold enough to feel successful when nothing yet confirms it, because this is the path of the Creator, not the victim, the one who knows. My world is not happening to me. It is coming from me. So stop measuring your progress by what your eyes can see. Begin to measure it by how real the assumption has become within you. When the feeling is natural, when the assumption is automatic, when you no longer question whether it's coming, that is the shift. That is when you move not by force but by faith. And that is when the world moves with you. Imagination is the womb of overflow. It is the sacred space where all things are conceived before they are born into form. Nothing you experience in the outer world comes without first being imagined. The mind is not simply a place for thought, it is the origin of reality. Every great life, every transformation, every miracle began first in the unseen, in the quiet chambers of imagination. This is not fantasy or daydream. Imagination is the creative act. It is a divine power within you that shapes the world you live in. You are not observing reality, you are generating it. Your thoughts, your visions, your inner pictures, they are not passive, they are the blueprint, and life is following their instructions. What you imagine as true and persist in imagining becomes your lived experience. The outer world is delayed reflection. It is the mirror that takes its shape from your inner world. When you sit in stillness and imagine wealth, love, peace, success, and you do so not as a hope, but as a felt reality. You awaken a process. You set a law in motion. Life begins reshaping itself to reflect your internal state. But you must understand this. Imagination must be vivid, alive, and consistent. It is not enough to imagine once and return to doubt. You must dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You must live from it. Your imagination must become more real to you than the facts around you. That is the secret of creation. When you feel overflow within, when you see yourself walking in abundance, acting from abundance, giving generously, living freely, the world takes notice. You will be surprised how circumstances bend, people shift, resources appear, doors open, not because of effort, but because of alignment. The world is always echoing the dominant feeling you carry. This is why it is said that the kingdom is within. You do not chase overflow. You conceive it in imagination and carry it as real. That inner conception is your seed. And just like a seed planted in soil, it begins to grow. Unseen at first, but eventually breaking through into physical reality. Most people imagine lack more often than overflow. They rehearse fear. They imagine rejection, loss, failure, and then a surprise when life delivers it. But life is not personal, it is principle. It gives back what you give it in thought and feeling. So if you want overflow, begin within. See it clearly, feel it deeply, make it so real that it lives in you as a memory from the future. Speak as one who has it, move as one who owns it, think as one who embodies it. You do not need to beg for blessings when you've already given birth to them in imagination. Hold that inner picture, guard it, nurture it, refuse to trade it for doubt, and when you do, the outer world will begin to change. Imagination is not idle, it is not fiction. It is the most powerful tool you possess. It is the beginning of every overflow, the origin of every miracle, and the silent architect of your destiny. What you imagine, you become. And what you become, the world must reflect. The old self must die for the new world to rise. This is not a poetic phrase, it is a spiritual law. You cannot carry the identity of who you were into the life that is calling you. The version of you that was attached to struggle, to fear, to lack, to waiting, that self cannot enter the state of overflow. It must be released. It must be buried. Every transformation requires a death, not of the body, but of the belief system. The stories you've told yourself about why things don't work, why you aren't enough, why life is hard, those stories have built a prison around your potential. And if you wish to rise into abundance, into peace, into power, you must let the old storyteller fade away. You cannot keep saying, I always struggle, and expect ease. You cannot keep affirming, nothing ever works out for me, and expect doors to open. These are not just words. They are identities. And identities have energy. They pull experiences to match them. So long as you continue to see yourself as the one who lacks, the world will reflect lack. It has to. The universe does not respond to what you say with your mouth. It responds to what you believe in your heart. If you believe you are the struggler, the one who barely gets by, then even if opportunities arrive, they will slip through your fingers. Because your inner self-image won't allow them to stay. To shift is not to do more, it is to become more. To let go of the version of you that was shaped by survival, by wounds, by disappointment. You must allow that self to die, not with sadness, but with honor, because it brought you here. But now it can go. You must begin to see yourself as someone new, as someone worthy, whole, complete. You must wear the garments of abundance in the silence of your imagination. Long before anyone else can see it, you must walk as the person you are becoming, not the person you were. There is no bridge between the old self and the new world. You must leap. And yes, the leap feels like death, the death of comfort, the death of familiar pain, the death of control. But what waits on the other side is resurrection. You were never meant to live small. You were never meant to stay in cycles of lack. But the shift won't happen while you hold tightly to old identities. You must say goodbye to the victim, the beggar, the one who is waiting for permission. You must lay that self to rest, and in its place rise. Rise into the self who commands the room with quiet confidence. Rise into the one who expects miracles, not because they are entitled, but because they are aligned. Rise into the one who no longer seeks but is. The new world is already here, but only the new you can walk in it. So bury the doubt, the fear, the almost, and embody the I am. The death of the old self is not the end. It is the beginning of everything real, everything abundant, everything true. Let it go and rise. You are the cause, not the effect. This is the most liberating truth you will ever hear, and perhaps the most challenging to accept. For as long as you believe that life is happening to you, you will remain bound to reaction. You will live as a passenger, not a creator. But the moment you realize that everything around you, the people, the opportunities, the delays, the abundance or the lack, is a mirror of your inner state, you reclaim your power. Your thoughts are not harmless. Your inner conversations are not random. Every sentence you rehearse in the silence of your mind is an instruction to life. Every assumption you persist in is a blueprint for what must appear. This is not theory, it is law. You have been taught to respond to conditions, to wait for better circumstances to feel better, to change jobs, relationships, or locations, hoping something out there will shift what's going on inside. But it never lasts, because the outer is only echoing the inner. The world cannot give you what you have not first accepted within yourself. If your inner dialogue is filled with fear, life will give you reasons to be afraid. If you constantly tell yourself, nothing ever works out for me, then even good opportunities will find a way to collapse, because your belief system will sabotage them. Not consciously, but consistently. You must become aware of the stories you're telling. You must start listening to the conversations you're having in your own mind, not the ones with others, but the ones you have when you're alone. Those are the seeds of your reality. Those are the causes. What happens outside is just the fruit. The world is not against you. It is not unfair. It is simply reflective. Like a mirror, it shows you not what you want, but what you are being. If you want to change what the mirror reflects, you don't try to adjust the mirror, you adjust yourself. This means you must stop blaming conditions. Stop pointing to your past, your upbringing, the economy, or other people as the reasons why you are stuck. As long as you give them power, you stay powerless. But the moment you take full responsibility for your inner state, everything changes. You do not have to control the world. You only need to master your self-perception. Shift your inner identity from victim to victor, from lack to abundance, from waiting to receiving. Begin to speak to yourself in the language of overflow. Begin to imagine life working for you. Persist in that feeling, even when nothing around you has changed. And then it will. Reality bends to sustained inner conviction. This is not about pretending. It's about assuming, quietly, persistently, faithfully, until the assumption becomes your natural way of being. Once it does, life reorganizes around you. You are the cause, not the effect. And when you live from this truth, you no longer need to chase anything. You no longer need to fix everything. You simply shift within, and the world mirrors the shift. Overflow comes to the one who dwells, not visits. You cannot flirt with abundance and expect it to take root in your life. You cannot entertain the feeling of I have for a few moments in the morning, only to return to worry, doubt, and lack for the rest of the day, and then wonder why nothing changes. The law of creation responds not to brief glimpses, but to sustained dwelling. It responds to the state you live in, not the one you temporarily visit. To dwell in a state means to abide in it, to make it your home, your foundation, your identity. You no longer merely affirm abundance, you embody it. You no longer try to feel wealthy, you wake up with the quiet inner knowing that it is already yours. Not because you can see the evidence, but because you have assumed the feeling as fact. This is the great difference between wishing and knowing. Wishing still carries the scent of doubt. Wishing says, maybe one day. But knowing says, it is already mine. And it is this knowing, this quiet certainty, that shifts the entire structure of your reality. When you dwell in overflow, you think from the end, not toward it. You do not hope for things to improve. You move through life as if they already have. You make decisions from your desired future, not your current limitations. You speak differently, you walk differently. You become the version of yourself who already has what they once sought. This is not about delusion. It is about divine alignment. You are aligning your inner state with the version of reality where your desire is fulfilled. And because all possibilities exist now, the one you align with must take form. It is law. But here is the part most overlooked. This state must become natural to you. It must become familiar. As long as it feels foreign, you will snap back to the old self. That is why persistence matters. Not in effort, but in feeling. You must return again and again to the state of the wish fulfilled, until it becomes the only truth you accept. And once it becomes natural, once you no longer need to convince yourself, it manifests effortlessly, not because you forced it, but because you became a match to it. Life had no choice but to reflect your dwelling place. This is why some people seem to attract abundance with ease, not because they are lucky, but because they have made abundance their home. Even when they had little, they felt like they had much. Even when nothing in the world looked different, their inner world was already overflowing. And eventually the outer world caught up. You must choose your dwelling place wisely. You cannot live in fear and expect peace. You cannot dwell in lack and expect overflow. The law is simple. Whatever you occupy inwardly, you create outwardly. So stop visiting abundance like a tourist. Move in, live there, think from there, act from there, give from there, speak from there. There, in the end, the truth is simple yet profound. Everything you desire is already here, waiting for you to align with it. Overflow is not something to chase. It is something to become. The shift begins within you, not in the world outside. When you surrender the old self, when you dwell in the state of I have, and when you boldly assume your desire as already fulfilled, life mirrors your inner transformation. You are the cause, you are the creator, and the moment you remember that, everything begins to change. Prepare for overflow, not with fear, not with striving, but with certainty, with peace, and with the power of your imagination. Thank you for listening. May you rise, may you line, and may your life overflow with all that is already yours. Close your eyes for a moment. Just breathe. And sit still. For once, don't chase, don't ask, don't strive. Just be. Because in the silence of your being, you will hear something powerful, something real, a whisper from the infinite that says, you already have it. This is the great mystery. What you are running after is already yours. You do not need to scream to the heavens or beg the universe. You simply need to sit still and listen once. Just once. In that sacred stillness, you will realize the truth. You are not a beggar. You are the heir. The jackpot you seek is not in the future. It is in the present. But only the still, the quiet, the faithful can see it. So many of us live as though life is outside of us, something to be hunted, earned, or fought for. But true power lies not in effort, but in knowing, and knowing is born from stillness. The world teaches you to hustle, but heaven teaches you to imagine. When you close your eyes and feel the reality of your desire, when you see yourself holding that winning ticket, living in that home, speaking from that stage, loving from that heart, you enter the dimension where it already exists. And when you feel it, it becomes real. You don't have to do it twice. You don't have to keep repeating or chasing. Once is enough when your heart is aligned and your belief is whole. Sit still. Don't move in desperation. Move only when the inner vision compels you. When the voice within says, "Now is the time," then you act, not from fear, but from knowing. This is the power of inner listening. You are not here to chase, you are here to remember. To remember that the jackpot, the dream, the love, the success was never outside of you. It was always within, waiting for you to claim it in silence, not with noise, but with faith. So today, stop everything, sit still, listen once, just once. That's all it takes. Because the jackpot is already yours. When you learn to still the mind, you open the door to a deeper reality. A realm where what you desire is not a possibility but a certainty. In this sacred stillness, there is no striving, no doubting, and no waiting. There is only the awareness that the thing you want already exists, not in some distant future, but here, now, in the invisible. Most people live in a state of inner noise. Thoughts race, doubts multiply, worries dominate, and so they live disconnected from the quiet, knowing that their desire is already fulfilled. But when you become still, truly still, when the mental chatter subsides and you allow yourself to fall into that inner silence, something miraculous happens. You begin to tune in to a frequency that was always there, but previously drowned out by the static of fear and overthinking. Stillness is not laziness. It is not passivity. It is spiritual alignment. It is entering into the inner chamber of your imagination with reverence and trust. In stillness, your desire becomes clear. You are no longer trying to create it. You are remembering that it is already yours. This is not a metaphor. This is not poetic language. This is the truth. Everything you could ever want already exists in the field of the unseen. What you call the future is merely an unfolding of what you have already accepted as true. But you cannot accept anything deeply while the mind is noisy and reactive. The noise of the outer world will keep convincing you that you lack something, that you must work harder, be better, or wait longer. But in stillness you are reminded, you are not lacking, you are becoming aware. You are aligning with the truth that your desire is already complete in the invisible realm, and your only work is to embody it with feeling, not with effort, but with inner rest. When the mind is still, the body relaxes, the emotions soften, the breath deepens. In that sacred pause, your imagination is no longer interfered with. You can see clearly. You can feel the wish fulfilled. You can dwell in the end not as hope, but as certainty. This is why so many struggle to manifest, not because they do not want it enough, but because they never sit still long enough to feel that it's already done. They keep reacting to the outer world, and so the inner vision never takes root. But when you are still, when you refuse to be moved by what appears to be missing, you give your imagination permission to speak. And what it tells you is this: you already have it. Do not underestimate this practice. Stillness is not a break from manifesting. It is the power behind it. You do not need to beg. You do not need to plead. You only need to feel from the end in stillness and let that feeling become your truth. It is already finished. You are not waiting on life. Life is waiting on you to become still enough to receive it. So stop striving. Sit still. Feel it done, and it shall be. What you seek is not something far off, not something that needs to be chased, built, or earned. It is already done, complete, finished in the unseen. You do not need to create it. You simply need to become aware of it. Awareness is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the inner and the outer, the imagined and the experienced. This is the greatest secret of all. Every desire you hold in your heart already exists in the infinite storehouse of creation. The moment you imagine it with feeling, it becomes a reality in the unseen. You may not yet see it with your eyes, but that does not mean it is not real. The world will tell you that what is real must be touched, counted, or proven. But the inner world knows a deeper truth, that reality begins with consciousness. And what you accept as true within will, in time, express itself without. So you are not here to make things happen. You are here to recognize that they already are. And once you shift from chasing to receiving, from striving to knowing, you allow the unseen to take shape through you. The process is not one of force but of alignment, not of effort but of surrender, not of doing but of being. When you say, I want this, you are speaking from the place of separation. But when you say, it is already mine, you are speaking from the place of union. That is the key. You do not manifest by desperately wishing something into existence. You manifest by embodying the feeling that it already belongs to you. You enter the state of having, not wanting, because wanting only perpetuates more wanting. But awareness of having opens the door for it to unfold in your experience. You are the one who must change, not the world. The outer world is merely a reflection of your inner assumptions. The mirror does not change until the face before it does. So if you believe your desire is far away, hard to reach, or uncertain, the mirror of life will reflect that belief back to you. But if you walk in the inner conviction that it is done, that it exists now, and that nothing can stop it, then the world bends to that truth. You do not beg the universe to deliver. You become the one who already has. You feel from the end. You live in the assumption. You think, speak, and act from the place of completion, and the world rearranges itself to match that vibration. There is nothing to create. It's already created. There is only something to become aware of. And once you truly know that it is yours, not hope, not wish, but know, then everything shifts. You don't manifest by effort. You manifest by realization. The realization that you are already in possession of that which you desire, it is done. And the moment you know this with quiet confidence, you will see it unfold, not by your will, but by the law of life itself. So stop searching, stop doubting, be still and know. What you seek is already done. You have been taught to chase, to hustle, to grind your way towards success, love, wealth, peace. But the truth is far simpler, far more powerful. You don't attract anything, you receive it. Life doesn't reward the one who struggles the hardest. It responds to the one who aligns most deeply. The jackpot, the dream, the miracle you desire, it is not a prize for your pain. It is the result of your inner agreement. When you believe you must earn your desires, you place them far from you. You create a distance between yourself and what is already yours. The more you chase, the more you affirm that you do not yet have it. And so the desire stays at arm's length, a promise never fulfilled, because your very energy says, I don't have it yet. But when you align, when you enter the state of already having it, the desire comes to you, or more truthfully, you finally allow it in. Life is always offering you exactly what you're ready to receive, not what you're begging for, not what you're struggling to earn, but what you are open to. What you have said yes to in your imagination and accepted with feeling. Struggle is not the path. Struggle is a signal that you are out of alignment with the truth. The truth is, everything you seek already exists. Your role is not to create it, not even to attract it, but to tune into it. Like turning the dial on a radio to hear the station that's already broadcasted. The feeling is the key. If you want the jackpot, feel what it's like to already have it. Don't ask how will it come. That is the language of doubt. Instead, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Rest in it. Breathe in it. Let that feeling become your home. When you do this, the energy of your being changes. You are no longer a beggar. You are a receiver. And receivers don't chase. They open. To receive something, you must believe you are worthy of it. You must believe it is possible for you. And most importantly, you must believe it is already done, not in the future but now, in the invisible. That belief, that assumption, begins to reshape everything. Your emotions, your behavior, your magnetism. The world outside may still look the same for a moment, but within something has shifted. You are no longer reaching, you are welcoming. And in that welcoming state, the door opens. What once seemed far off flows naturally toward you because you are no longer resisting it with disbelief, fear, or need. You do not attract the jackpot through force. You receive it through alignment. And alignment is not about action, it is about identity. Who are you being? What are you feeling? What are you assuming to be true? This is not about deserving, it's about allowing, and you allow by surrendering to the feeling of already having. So be still. Let's go of the chase. Step into the feeling now, and you'll see what you want has been waiting for you all along. Not to attract it, but to receive it. Imagination is not a daydream. It is not a childish escape or a passive indulgence. It is the most powerful creative force you possess. When you imagine something clearly and feel it deeply, you are not pretending. You are planting the seed of reality. Imagination is the evidence of things unseen, the doorway through which the invisible becomes visible. Everything that exists in your world first existed in the mind of someone who dared to imagine. The chair you sit on, the phone in your hand, the home you live in, all were imagined first, before ever taking shape in the physical world. So why would your dreams be any different? The moment you imagine and feel that the jackpot is already yours, you establish it as a spiritual fact. It becomes a truth in the unseen realm, and the unseen always precedes the seen. To many, imagination feels unreal because it lacks physical evidence. But in truth, the unseen is more powerful than the seen. What is seen is temporary and shaped by past thoughts and beliefs. What is unseen, the world of imagination, is timeless, infinite, and malleable. When you use your imagination with purpose and feeling, you are engaging the very substance of creation. You don't need to see the jackpot in your bank account to know it's yours. You need to feel it in your heart and accept it in your mind. That feeling, that assumption, is the spiritual receipt. It is the proof. The inner vision is more important than the outer evidence, because the outer always mirrors the inner, never the other way around. You don't wait to believe once you see it. You believe and then you see it. This is the law of life. To imagine is to believe in what is not yet seen, and to feel it as done is to claim it as yours, long before it arrives. You are not hoping, you are not wishing, you are knowing that what you hold in your imagination is just as real as what you can touch. The key is feeling. Imagination without feeling is hollow, but when you add emotion, when you dwell in the state of already having, you move your desire from thought to spiritual reality. The universe does not respond to words or effort. It responds to vibration, to inner conviction. And your inner conviction is revealed in how you feel. You must learn to honor your imagination, to take it seriously, to sit in quiet moments, close your eyes, and see yourself already in possession of what you want, not as a dream, but as a fact. When you do this often, consistently, and with faith, the physical world begins to reflect what you have accepted in the invisible. This is how you shape reality. From the inside out. You imagine it, you feel it, you live in the end even if nothing outside has changed. And then, like a shadow following form, the outer begins to catch up. Imagination is not separate from reality. It is reality, waiting to be seen. What you imagine with feeling becomes your future. It is not a matter of if, it is only a matter of when. So stop waiting for the evidence. Create it within. Because the moment you imagine it as yours, it already is. In a world obsessed with speaking, explaining, and doing, the quiet art of listening is often forgotten. But it is in the silence, the stillness between thoughts, that the real answers emerge. Listening is more powerful than speaking, not because it is louder, but because it connects you with the truth that doesn't need to be said. When you sit in stillness and listen within, you don't hear noise. You hear clarity, you hear certainty. And in that sacred inner space, a quiet voice says, "It is finished." And in that moment, you can go so far, you can pull back to your... This is not the voice of your ego, your fears, or your doubts. It is the voice of your spirit, your higher self. The part of you that already knows everything is working out. The part of you that knows your desire has already been answered. Not will be, already is. But you can only hear this voice when the surface mind goes quiet, when you stop trying to speak your reality into existence and instead listen to the one already created within. Most people pray with desperation. They talk endlessly about what they want, what they lack, and what they fear. But true prayer, the kind that moves mountains, is not a monologue. It is a conversation. And to hear the reply, you must stop speaking. You must sit. You must listen. Listening is the act of surrender. It is the letting go of needing to control, needing to figure it out, needing to force an outcome. In listening, you make space for truth to reveal itself. You become a receiver. And what you receive is peace, assurance, and the deep knowing that what you asked for is already done. When you listen within, you connect to the finished version of your life, the one where the desire has already manifested, the healing already occurred, the door already opened. You don't have to do anything, you just have to hear it. And hearing is more than sound. It is a spiritual recognition. It is the awareness of completion. The outer world may not yet reflect it. The bank account may still be empty. The relationship may still be distant. But if you've heard it within, if you've felt the still, small voice whisper, "It is finished," then you can rest, because the outer always catches up to the inner. The problem is, many never listen long enough. They speak their prayers but never stay for the answer. They visualize but never pause to receive the confirmation. They look outward for signs but never listened to the truth that was always within them. You were never meant to live by effort alone. You were meant to live by guidance, quiet, powerful, undeniable guidance. But to access it, you must be still. You must go beyond the noise of the world and the noise of your own mind. And in that sacred space of stillness, you hear it. Not a command, not a condition, but a conclusion. It is finished. That is the voice of truth. That is the sound of manifestation. Not a shout, but a whisper that carries the weight of eternity. And once you hear it, you don't need to convince anyone, not even yourself, because now you know. You don't need to speak it into being. You only need to listen and receive. Faith is not noise. It is not force. It is not the endless repetition of affirmations, nor the anxious striving to prove that you believe. Faith is quiet. It is calm. It does not panic. It does not chase, and it does not argue with reality. True faith is not loud effort. It is silent certainty. It is the inner stillness that says, "This is already mine," and never looks back to check if it's working. You see, faith is not something you perform, it is something you know. And that knowing doesn't come with fireworks or shouts. It comes in the quiet places, the spaces in between action, where you close your eyes and simply rest in the feeling that what you asked for is already done. Many people confuse faith with trying harder, as if the louder they declare it, the faster it will manifest. But effort comes from doubt. Effort says, "I must make this happen." Faith says, "It is already happening and I will allow it." There's a difference between pushing something into place and allowing it to unfold. Faith is always the latter. Real faith is the surrender of the ego's need to control every detail. It is releasing the timeline, the method, the how. It's letting go of the struggle to understand and stepping into the peace of trusting what is unseen. You're not being passive, you're being receptive. You're not giving up, you're letting go. Faith is not hoping. Hope has a tremble in it, a maybe, a what if. But faith is grounded, it rests, it knows, it walks as if it's already there. It speaks as though the desire has already materialized, and it does so without needing applause, without announcing it, and without checking in every 5 minutes to see if anything has changed. You will know when your faith is real because you won't need to talk about it. You will walk differently, breathe differently. You'll move through the world with a quiet confidence that doesn't require validation because you already know it's done. The greatest acts of faith are invisible. They happen within. The silent choice to stay in alignment when nothing outside supports your vision. The decision to feel wealthy even when your account is empty. The commitment to feel loved even when no one calls. That's faith. Not because you're faking, but because you're trusting a higher law. The inner creates the outer. Always. And so you surrender. Not because you've given up, but because you know there's nothing left to fight for. What you want is already yours. You've seen it in your imagination. You've felt it in your spirit. And now your only work is to be the one who already has it. Quiet acceptance. That is the highest form of belief. You no longer chase the thing. You no longer argue with reality. You simply live as though it's done, because in the higher realm, it is. Faith doesn't need to make noise. It only needs to stand still. Because in stillness, everything aligns. And when you walk in quiet faith, life rises to meet you exactly where you are. The greatest power you hold is not in your effort, but in your stillness. Your desires are not distant dreams waiting to be earned. They are spiritual realities waiting to be received. When you sit still, listen within, and align with the feeling of already having what you seek, you step into a divine truth. It is already done. You don't have to chase. You don't have to beg. You only need to remember. Your imagination is the blueprint, your feeling is the key, and your faith is the quiet doorway through which all things are made real. Let the world be noisy, you remain still, and in that stillness, you will hear it clearly. The jackpot is already yours. Say to thanks. Thank you for allowing these words to enter your space today. May they awaken something deep within you. A knowing, a peace, a certainty. Trust the silence. Honor your imagination, and above all, receive what is already yours. Close your eyes. Imagine this. Your bank account reflecting numbers you once thought were impossible. Not through hard labor, not through luck, but through the word. I didn't chase money. I didn't knock on every door. I didn't beg the universe, I became it. I lived from the place where 68 million was already mine, and it began with 3 simple words. I am rich. Yes. Just 3 words. You see, the moment I began repeating those words, not as a wish, but as a truth, something changed. I wasn't praying for money. I wasn't hoping. I was declaring. I was planting seeds in the deep soil of consciousness. I am rich. Not I will be. Not I want to be. Not someday. Now. I didn't say it once. I didn't say it only when I felt good. I said it until it became my second nature. I whispered it in the morning. I affirmed it during the silence of night. I said it when my pockets were empty and when my rent was late, because I knew the outer world must conform to the inner state. Words are not just sounds, they are forces. Each time I spoke those 3 words, I wasn't speaking to the air. I was speaking to my subconscious, the hidden builder of my life. I am rich. And slowly, something within me began to shift. My thoughts aligned, my decisions changed, opportunities came not by coincidence, but by invitation, an echo of the reality I had accepted. The mind began to filter everything through the lens of wealth. My identity evolved, and because I changed, my world had no choice but to change too. You cannot repeat these words from a place of need. You must say them from a place of ownership, not, I hope I'll be rich. No, that's a lie. Say, I am rich, and then act like it. Walk like it, think like it, dress like it, spend like it. Not recklessly, but with the confidence of someone who trusts the supply is infinite. One day, I looked around, and I wasn't just rich in money, I was rich in peace, rich in time, rich in options. And yes, 68 million was part of it, but it was the least surprising thing in the story, because I had already seen it within. Your life will mirror what you repeat, not with fear, but with faith. And if you dare to say these 3 words until your bones believe it, until your imagination accepts it, until your nights are lit with the fire of it, then what you speak will speak back. Say it now. I am rich. Say it like it's already done. Say it until there is no more doubt. Say it until the world must kneel before the truth of your assumption. This is not magic, this is law. And it always responds to the one who dares to believe first. Every word you speak carries a vibration, a creative force. It's not merely sound, it's spirit clothed in language. When you speak, you are planting seeds in the garden of your subconscious mind. These seeds don't simply vanish into thin air. They take root, whether you're aware of it or not. And in time they grow. They sprout into ideas, decisions, behaviors, and eventually your circumstances. This is the sacred mechanism of creation, and it begins with the words you allow to pass your lips and echo in your inner dialogue. Many people speak carelessly, unaware that their words are scripting the story of their life. They complain, criticize, and confess limitation, not realizing they're watering the very conditions they wish to escape. Words like "I can't," "I never have enough," or "I'm so unlucky" become affirmations, unconscious declarations that harden into fact. The subconscious doesn't question, it doesn't judge. It simply receives. It accepts what is repeated with feeling, and it makes it so. When you understand that your words are seeds, you begin to guard your tongue. You become selective, not fearful, but intentional. You no longer waste your breath on what you do not wish to experience. Instead, you choose deliberately. You speak as though what you desire is already true, already here, already yours. You say, "I am blessed," even if you feel broken. You say, "I am healthy," even if your body feels weak. You declare, "I am abundant," even if the bank account says otherwise. Not because you are lying, but because you are planting. And you know that seeds take time to grow. Repetition is the watering of the seed. One spoken word may pass like a breeze, but a repeated word begins to dig deep roots, especially when it is spoken with emotion. Emotion is the water, the sunlight, and the warmth. That is why fear-based affirmations, once spoken in desperation, often manifest more of the same fear. But words spoken in confidence, peace, and love, these are unstoppable. They go down into the depth of the subconscious and rearrange the very fabric of your being. Think of the subconscious like soil. It will grow anything you plant, flowers or weeds. It doesn't care whether the word is positive or negative, only whether you mean it and repeat it. It's indifferent to the truth of the word in the outer world. It simply turns your inner speech into a lived experience. This is why people who constantly say, "Nothing ever works out for me," find themselves trapped in cycles of disappointment. The word was the seed, the repetition was the watering, and their belief was the harvest. To live a new life, you must speak a new language. Not a language of doubt and delay, but a language of certainty. You must say the words that reflect your desired state, and say them so often they feel natural. Eventually, the subconscious accepts them as true, and your world shifts to match that truth. So speak carefully, speak deliberately, and speak often. Because every word you repeat with conviction becomes a seed, and every seed you plant becomes the life you live. Manifestation does not begin with a plea, it begins with identity. You do not ask for what you want like a beggar at the gates. You assume it, you become it. The secret lies not in the words you speak alone, but in the self you embody when you speak them. You do not manifest wealth by desiring it endlessly. You manifest it by stepping into the role of the one who already has it, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, before it ever arrives in the physical. The outer world is not the cause of your state, it is the reflection of it. So if you wish to experience a new outcome, you must first take on a new identity. You must decide, this is who I am now, not in some future timeline, not someday when the conditions are right. Now, because reality does not create the identity creates the reality. You cannot wait for money to feel wealthy. You must feel wealthy to draw money. Assumption is the bridge between desire and fulfillment. It is not pretending, it is embodying. It is claiming the state of already being, even if nothing around you has changed. You walk with the posture of the fulfilled. You think with the mind of the abundant. You feel with the heart of the already successful. You don't say, I want to be rich. You say, I am rich. And you let that identity govern your choices, your energy, and your focus. Most people get this backwards. They live as if the outer world must shift before they can change how they see themselves. But that is not how this law works. The law responds to inner causation, not outer reaction. If you want wealth, you must stop being the person who waits for wealth. You must stop identifying as someone who lacks, struggles, or hopes. That self has no power. That self cannot create. You must rise into the self that already holds the thing desired. This is why assumption feels bold, even uncomfortable, because you are no longer acting according to the facts. You are acting according to the truth you have chosen to believe. You're no longer reacting to appearances. You are impressing the subconscious with a new blueprint, and the subconscious, loyal and unquestioning, begins to organize everything around this identity. It is not about forcing the world to change, it is about changing your concept of self. When you assume the identity of someone who is wealthy, you naturally begin to take actions and decisions from that state. You carry yourself differently, you expect differently, you allow differently, and life must mirror this inner shift. Choosing the identity is not a one-time act. It is a constant return to the truth of who you have decided to be. Every moment is an opportunity to either revert to the old self or reaffirm the new. You become the wealthy version of yourself through consistent mental occupancy. You live there in imagination until it feels more real than the conditions around you. And then, without effort, the outer world must fall in line. So do not ask, do not beg, do not hope, assume. Step into it fully. Be the one who already has it, in thought, in feeling, in energy, and reality will be compelled to prove you right. The words you say to others hold power, yes, but it is the words you say to yourself that shape your world. Your inner speech, the silent dialogue constantly running through your mind, is the architect of your experience. Every outcome, every encounter, every circumstance you live through begins not in action, but in thought, specifically in the speech you rehearse internally. And those three simple words, I am rich, are not to be whispered as a desperate wish. They are to be declared with authority, as a claim, a command, a recognition of what is already real in the unseen. Your inner conversation is not passive, it is creative. It is law, it is the birthplace of reality. What you consistently affirm within will eventually express without. So when you say, I am rich, not just aloud, but silently and repeatedly in the privacy of your own mind, you are impressing the subconscious with a new instruction. The subconscious, which governs your behavior, your perceptions, and even how the world reacts to you, begins to shape life around that belief. Most people use their inner speech against themselves. They rehearse fear. They replay old pain. They entertain doubt, lack, and limitation all day long. And then they wonder why they are stuck in the same cycles. But the mind does not discriminate. It creates according to what is most consistently spoken and felt. If your internal conversation is filled with, I can't, it's too late, or nothing ever works out, then that is exactly what you will see reflected in your world. But there is a higher way, a conscious way, a way of choosing your inner dialogue with intention, precision, and faith. You begin to use your inner speech to claim, not to crave. You stop approaching your desires as if they are far away and instead affirm their presence now. I am rich, I am worthy. Everything flows to me with ease. These are not empty phrases, they are creative decrees, vibrating with power when spoken from belief. Conscious inner speech requires awareness. It requires you to interrupt the old stories and deliberately insert new ones. At first, the mind will resist. It will say, "This isn't true," but that is only because it has been programmed to accept the old narrative. With repetition and feeling, the new speech begins to take root. It becomes familiar, it becomes normal, and eventually it becomes fact. Do not underestimate this process. The world you see is a mirror of the world you speak within. If you change the inner voice, you change the reflection. The three words, "I am rich," are not just affirmations. They are identities. They are assumptions. And when spoken with consciousness and conviction, they initiate a shift that reality cannot ignore. So stop using your words to beg. Stop using your thoughts to replay defeat. Speak consciously. Speak with power. Say only that which you want to experience. And say it not once, but constantly, until your entire inner landscape reflects the life you have chosen. The moment you master your inner speech, you master your world. Saying the words is only the beginning. Repeating an affirmation without feeling is like planting a seed in dry soil. Nothing can grow. Words may point the way, but feeling is what brings them to life. To manifest what you desire, you must feel the truth of what you speak as if it is already here, already done, already yours. This is the secret so many miss. They say, "I am rich," but they feel lack. They declare, "I am loved," but they feel abandoned. And so, what they truly feel, not what they say, becomes their experience. Your subconscious does not respond to empty declarations. It responds to felt reality. Emotion is the magnet, the charge, the energy that activates the seed of your word. When you say, "I am rich," and you feel the joy, the relief, the confidence that would come with that truth, you are aligning yourself with the vibration of wealth. And alignment is the birthplace of manifestation. Feeling it real means you go beyond the intellect. You do not merely recite, you enter the experience. You imagine what it would be like to live the reality you desire. You walk in it in your mind. You taste it, breathe it, dwell in it. You touch the texture of it emotionally, even if nothing has changed outwardly. This is the sacred act of assumption. To feel now what the world will later reflect. The world is not moved by what you want, it is moved by what you believe to be true. And belief is always tied to feeling. If you say, "I am abundant," but your chest tightens with fear, your feeling betrays the affirmation. But if you say it and a quiet joy rises, a calm confidence enters, now you are creating. You have entered the state, and the state creates the condition. This is why people often feel like their affirmations don't work. It is not because the words are wrong. It is because the emotional frequency remains unchanged. You cannot speak of wealth while radiating fear and expect abundance to come. The law responds not to what is spoken in the surface mind, but what is deeply felt in the heart. So the practice is not just to say the words, but to marinate in the mood of the wish fulfilled, to feel the emotions now that you believe would come later. If you think millions would bring freedom, then feel freedom now. If you think success would bring joy, then feel joy now. You become the vessel that can receive it by feeling worthy of it before it appears. The emotion impresses the subconscious deeper than logic. You may not understand how it will happen, and that's not your job. Your job is to feel it done. The feeling is the evidence. The stronger the feeling, the more magnetic your energy becomes, and the faster your outer world begins to rearrange to match it. So when you speak your three words, pause and feel them. Let them sink in. Let them stir something in you. Let them become real in your inner world. Because once you feel it real, truly, deeply, unwaveringly, your world will soon follow. Emotion is not just a side effect of manifestation, it is the fuel. The mind is like a sponge. It absorbs whatever it is exposed to consistently. One passing thought does little. One fleeting affirmation barely touches the surface. But repeated impressions, spoken with emotion and focus, begin to saturate the mind. And once the mind is saturated, the idea becomes automatic. It becomes your new normal, your default state. From that default, your choices change, your energy shifts, and your reality transforms. This is the power of saturation, and it is achieved through repetition. Repetition is not just about saying something over and over. It is about saying it with intention, with feeling, and with consistency until it no longer feels like something you're trying to believe. It becomes what you believe. When you say, "I am rich," once, it may feel untrue. When you say it 10 times, it may feel like a dream. But when you say it every morning, every night, and whisper it throughout the day, your subconscious begins to accept it as reality. And what the subconscious accepts, it must express. The mind becomes saturated when the old beliefs are no longer the loudest voice. This doesn't happen overnight. Most of us have been conditioned for years to think small, to expect lack, to fear failure. These old programs are deeply embedded, but they are not permanent. They are overridden through steady, repeated suggestion. You do not argue with the old thoughts. You simply drown them out with the new. If you want to become wealthy, you must saturate your mind with the idea of wealth. Not occasionally, not when you feel like it, but relentlessly. You speak it, you see it, you feel it, you affirm it until it feels as real as your current circumstances, even if those circumstances show the opposite. This is not denial. This is creation. You are not lying to yourself. You are rewriting the script. Think of your mind like a field. Whatever seed you plant consistently will grow. If you constantly speak words of doubt, poverty, and limitation, your field becomes filled with weeds. But if you choose one powerful idea, "I am rich," and plant it daily through repetition, that seed begins to take root. It becomes stronger than the weeds. It begins to dominate the landscape. That's saturation. That's how a new reality is born. You must go beyond surface thinking. It is not enough to say it once and hope. You must say it until it feels true, until your automatic response to life is rooted in abundance rather than fear, until the idea of wealth is no longer a desire but a belief, a quiet certainty that doesn't need to be proven because it already is. Repetition is how you rewire your mind. It is how you change your emotional responses. It is how you alter your self-image. And once your self-image shifts, everything else follows. You begin to attract what matches your new state. You take different actions. You walk through different doors. You notice different opportunities. Your destiny is not written in the stars. It is written in your mind. And what you repeat, you become. Saturate your thoughts with what you desire. Let it become the dominant vibration of your being, because once it is your default, it will also be your reality. Everything you experience in the outer world is a mirror of your inner world. Life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you are. The 68 million was never something I chased or waited for. It was something that came through me, not to me. It wasn't about luck, a secret opportunity, or even hard work in the way most people think. It was about alignment. It was the inevitable outpicturing of a state of consciousness I had fully occupied. And once I became it internally, the world had no choice but to reflect it. Your world is not separate from you, it is you externalized. Your relationships, your finances, your opportunities, your obstacles, they are all expressions of the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs you consistently hold. This is not blame. This is power. Because if it all begins within, then that means it is within your power to change it. When you understand this, you stop trying to rearrange the outside world like furniture. You stop fighting against appearances. You start turning inward and adjusting your state, your assumptions, your beliefs, your identity. There was a time when I looked at my circumstances and felt stuck. But I realized the problem wasn't out there. The problem was the story I was telling myself. I kept identifying as someone who was trying to become rich, who hoped it would happen one day. But that version of me could never touch wealth because he saw wealth as something separate. It wasn't until I fully accepted that wealth was an extension of who I am that things changed. I no longer tried to get it, I allowed it to flow through me because I had become the vessel that could hold it. This is the spiritual principle behind every true manifestation. Nothing comes from the outside, it all originates within. Your dominant vibration, your mental environment, your inner self-concept, these are the roots, and your reality is the fruit. When the inner shifts, the outer must respond. There is no delay, only alignment. Many people are waiting for their life to change before they change their self-image. They say, once I have more money, I'll feel abundant. But that's not how this works. You must feel abundant first, even when your bank account doesn't show it. You must walk as though it's already done, because your world cannot reflect a state you do not first possess. To receive it, you must become it. The 68 million was simply a reflection of the wealth I had already accepted as mine within. I had spoken it, affirmed it, felt it, assumed it, lived in it, and the world in perfect obedience reflected it back. Not by chance, not by effort alone, but by law. The world was only doing what it always does, mirroring the self. So if you want more peace, more love, more freedom, more wealth, don't look out there, look within. Build it in your mind. Feel it in your heart. Speak it into being. And then trust that what you are within, you must inevitably meet without. Because your world is not a fixed place. It is a moving mirror, and it always reflects you. The power to manifest is not outside of you. It lives within your thoughts, your feelings, and your identity. I didn't receive 68 million by chance or force. It came through a deep inner shift. By speaking 3 simple words, I am rich, and aligning my inner world through repetition, feeling, and assumption, I became a magnet for wealth. The transformation didn't begin in my bank account, it began in my belief. When you master your words, your emotions, and your self-concept, the world has no choice but to mirror your inner truth. Speak deliberately, feel deeply, assume boldly. Your reality is already forming. Speak it into existence. Saying thanks. Thank you for listening. If this message stirred something within you, hold on to it. Don't just hear the words, live them. You already hold the power. Now go and claim the life that's waiting for you.